Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of Pan TheOrganizer. So today, I'm sitting down with Matt Moreman. He's the owner of the Obsessed Garage YouTube channel and the Obsessed Garage website, where he curates car detailing supplies and everything garage oriented. He started his YouTube videos in 2014, and I used to watch his videos before I started my own channel in April of 2016, and the rest is history. So you're gonna wanna watch this video because we're having a discussion about what made Matt and I successful in life beyond the YouTube metrics. So we're gonna share some insight, and hopefully you're gonna have some takeaways and some things that you can bring home with you to inspire you to have your own success in your lives. And believe me, you're gonna wanna stick around from the beginning all the way till the end, because Matt is a very direct person. He has no filter, and I was even able to ask him some very clear, direct, and hard questions. Let me give you a quick 30-second preview of what's to come in this video.
I thought I was better than you because I had more money, or I was, could bench more. I'd probably be better if I just shut up and did donuts in my GT3. I don't really care about anybody,
Do you think you're normal?
Just watch the video and look it up.
You're wrong.
You can tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm not. It drives me crazy, and I lose my crap. And I'm standing in my freaking mansion in Florida. I'm from the freaking trailer park, Graphene is a load of crap. We all know it.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna stop using their products?
Maybe.
Nobody cares about that. You shouldn't. You think I'm an idiot?
No. They want you to be successful. They don't want you to be that successful.
Oh my God. Are we even allowed to put this on the video? Anyhow, I think you guys are in for a treat. So like I said, stick around from the beginning all the way till the end. A lot of cool stuff. So you know the drill. Without further ado, stay tuned. Let's go ahead and start the show. So hey guys, welcome to the show. So today I'm lucky enough to have a very special guest. You're seeing him on screen right now, and he's Matt Moreman, friend of mine and owner of the Obsessed Garage website. So he curates basically products, anything pertaining to your garage, including car detailing supplies, products, tools, equipment, all that good stuff. And he's also the owner of the Obsessed Garage YouTube channel, over 250,000 subscribers. And well, today is going to be a pretty cool discussion. I've been on Matt's channel before in a previous interview he had with me, and one of the comments was that it would have been nice if you would have let Pan talk a bit. So today we will be talking. You're going to hear me talk, and obviously Matt as well. So first of all, Matt, thanks for doing this. How are you?
Good, man. Saturday afternoon. Life couldn't be better. You guys are freezing up there, but it's like,
yeah, we are. We're
like
already at like -4, -5 degrees Fahrenheit, or -15 to -20 degrees Celsius. It's a mess. So you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go out and wash my car here in shorts in a few minutes. So
thank God I have my heated garage, so I can continue doing that all year long. So I want to dig into this. So let's do it right away. I think it's going to be an industry first, in the sense that people tend to shy away of talking about what makes them successful, and I'm the opposite. I think a lot of my viewers find inspiration through my videos because of what I share. I share my passion, my knowledge, my experience, and yeah, a lot of people like to be taken into that topic. And kind of what I want to do today is discuss about what makes people successful, or at least what made you and I successful. We have many similar visions on things, but we also are very different people for other stuff. So I think it's going to be a cool convo. So to kind of preface this, for all of you who are new to my channel, or who might not know who Matt is, again, I started my YouTube channel out of my passion, or should I say obsession, for detailing. I've been detailing cars for over 23 years at this point, and sharing my knowledge and passion is my main goal. And I think my viewers can relate to that. But my personal success came way before I started my channel. Throughout my childhood, all the way up until I graduated university, I was always top of my class. I have studies from the Faculty of Medicine in biochemistry and molecular biology. So that's kind of a background that helps me understand detailing products in chemistry, and kind of dig into those with a different opinion and a different view. So I have a high paying job that generates over 6 figures. I'm highly successful in my investments in the financial markets. I was self-taught in purchasing and selling stocks, and I'd spend hours a day, and I'm sure you can relate to that because we're going to dig into your background a bit later. But I absolutely love that stuff. But most of all, I have to say, it was my dad, who was an immigrant from Greece in the late 70s, who came to Canada, and who taught me that at a very young age to work hard. work as hard as you can, work harder than your peer, work, work, work. And he said, you're never going to miss anything in life. And I clearly understood that nothing would be handed to me in life, right? So the success came through hard work. That was part of it. But what about you, Matt? So what's your key to success? Why don't you start us from the beginning? Because obviously success doesn't happen overnight by clicking your fingers, by snapping fingers. There's a process through, at least through my lifetime. So kind of share us. So what's the key to your success, and start us from the beginning?
I've done a lot of self-reflecting over the last 4 or 5 years, since I do struggle with phobias and actual obsessive compulsive disorder, and so I've had to do a lot of reflection and figure out what motivates me. I grew up in a single wide trailer. I don't know what do they call those in Canada. They call it like a caravan or something in the UK or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
so my parents were young when they had me, and both hadn't gone to college, and my parents were super hard workers. Actually, they work for me now in Obsessed Garage, and the brand and are an extreme asset and creating scale for me. But I grew up in a single wide, and I remember in 1993. So I was born 1980. So we sold that. They sold that trailer for 9,000 cash. I remember, them sitting at the kitchen table, and the mom of the young couple that were buying it for my parents was like counting out the $9,000. Should I have wheels that cost considerably more than that? So it was sort of humbling to see that, but it's been motivating to me to get out of that kind of like to I'm fortunate in that they gave me the ability to chase my own dreams, but I saw that I didn't want to have that same sort of early poor start in life if I could help it. And so I went to I ended up going to Villanova University. I have a degree in electrical engineering. I just knew right away. I knew early on in high school. I knew that um, I didn't do like you, Pan. I didn't do well. I didn't do as well as I could have in school. I didn't try. I didn't care. And it's a common theme with the rest of my life, is that if I'm passionate about something, like in high school, I became extremely passionate about playing volleyball. And I only played 2 years, but I was all state the second year because I didn't study. I didn't work on school. I was so focused on hitting a volleyball better, or focusing on car audio, or whatever it is I had a passion about. But I was smart enough that I could get, I think, I don't know what I graduated with, but I graduated in the top, whatever, 10% of my class. So I was able to get into Villanova. But I knew very early on that engineering would be the proper path for me, because I liked math and I liked solving problems, and I understood what an engineer was, unlike most people. And so I went to Villanova. I got a degree in electrical engineering, played volleyball at Villanova. And then when I graduated, uh, actually, when I was in college, I I flunked Fundamentals of Electrical Engineering 2, which is sophomore year. And so if you get behind in engineering school, like there isn't enough time to make up.
Okay.
And Villanova was like 40 grand, 30 something $1,000 a year, and I'm
Yeah. Costs in the
financing it.
US are nuts for
Yeah, I'm
studying.
borrowing the money. And so a fifth year wasn't going to be an option. And I couldn't just show up at college anymore. I did keep just showing up and not studying, but I flunked the class. And so I ended up getting a job selling, high-end car stereo my between sophomore and junior year of college, and that changed my life. It taught me how to sell. So I went from being a typical engineer, couldn't look in the eye, was very self-focused and introverted, and had a small group of friends, to now I'm passionate about these electronics and learning everything there is to learn about them. And I became addicted to being impressive.
Okay.
So I thought it was impressive if someone would walk in and I could explain to them every fact and feature of every product in there.
I
And
can relate to
so
that.
what motivated me was to learn everything so that I can impress others. I can impress my colleagues. I can impress I'm just learning this now about myself through lots of therapy, but I didn't know why did I care about this, this pursuit of knowledge, this pursuit of information. I wanted to impress someone that I knew the model number of a monster cable off the top of my head. I wanted to impress people that I knew all the difference between all the Alpine head units. And then if I found that there was extreme value in being impressive, and that people would, other salesmen would refer the more difficult clients to me, and just so happened the more difficult clients usually had more money, and they were underestimated a lot of times. And so this chase to have as many designations and know as much stuff has been the theme throughout my life. Eventually I moved to Florida when I graduated from Villanova. I was doing the same thing. My buddies were going to work for Lockheed Martin and Unisys and other engineering firms, and I was making 60, 70, 80 grand selling home theater, and I was writing my own ticket. There wasn't anybody dictating what my salary and what my raise was going to be, and I liked that.
Yeah.
And so I moved here, and I partnered with some crazy dude. His name was Dana Fox, and he became my sort of sales partner. And he was crazy and disheveled, and I was very meticulous and organized. And so we did really well together for a couple of years. And then eventually a guy from Merrill Lynch came in to my store and sold me. I sold him a home theater just the way I normally do it. And he was very impressed by that. And so he sort of headhunted me, or convinced me to come and interview with Merrill Lynch. It took a year and a half.
For those who don't know what Merrill Lynch is, can you just quickly
Merrill
briefly?
Lynch is a Wall Street firm, and I was applying to become like a personal financial advisor.
Okay.
And the big difference between selling retail home theater, even though I had some clients that I developed over the years, a lot of people would walk in the door, and retail wealth management is nobody's walking in the door. And so you'd have to generate leads on your own from thin air. Imagine this. Like, you have to, how do you strike up a conversation with somebody about, hey, I want to manage your money, out of nothing? Out of no, it's not like you're at a seminar. It's like here's a phone book and an office and figure it out.
And it's not like you had a huge financial background, right, at that point?
No. I had a huge ability to spend money. In fact, none of my friends ever hired me, because they knew me as, they call it Mormonomics. I buy a $10,000 car, put $40,000 into it, and sell it for $12,000, and so they all knew that. I knew that I didn't care about that. I knew that I wanted to experience life and wanted to chase things, and losing money on something that I'm excited about and passionate about doesn't matter to me at all. And that's really paid off for me over the years. But Merrill Lynch took me about a year and a half to get a job there. They don't hire young people. I was 24 at the time, 23 when I started the interview process.
Wow.
And they kept bringing me back, but they kept saying that I look like Opie Taylor. And I didn't know who that was. Well,
Me
Opie
neither.
Taylor is Ron Howard. Eventually, once I learned who Opie Taylor was, I Google searched at the time, and I said, well, I think what finally landed me the job is I met with the high up guy, and I said, Opie Taylor is Ron Howard. Ron Howard's a pretty successful dude, so I think you should give me a shot. And so I finally got the job, and I cold called. My goal was to make 400 dials a day, which was a nightmare for an introvert like myself. And I would get sweating and get nervous, but eventually I'd get in the groove of just hitting the numbers. How many people can I call today? And I would have a spiel of, basically inviting them to be on my retirement newsletter. And then I would hand address all the envelopes. And so for the first, 6, 7, 8 years of my career in retail wealth management, as I'm trying to convince people to hire me to manage their life savings, as a 20-something. And eventually I became rather impressive again. I became a CFP and a SEMA and CHFC and CLU. I had like 30-something letters behind my name, and I got that rather quickly because I thought that would make me, one, it would give me the knowledge to have an intelligent conversation with somebody. And then secondly, it would make me look impressive. And when I spoke at somewhere, I commanded, some respect because of all of those accolades or all of those designations and all that chase. Although I didn't like making the cold calls. I didn't like that always being on. Every person I talked to in my life, I always had an angle, like, how am I going to find out how much money they had so that I could help them? Because I really was the right guy to help pretty much everybody, but
Were
I
you
wasn't
passionate
very
about
good.
that, you'd say?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. I was passionate about the ability to take somebody's mess and clean it up.
There you go.
And almost everybody has a mess.
Yeah.
And almost everybody doesn't know how to do it. And almost everybody gets too emotionally involved with their money. And I'm could not be any happier that I no longer have to deal with the irrationality that comes with that with money. The irrationality around detailing is laughable in comparison to the irrationality around, people's home bias on what they buy, what they know, and they buy high and sell low, and they do things that, or over concentrate, or most people invest in their own company, and it's just would drive me crazy dealing with especially the business that I built. I was catering to not extremely wealthy people. I was catering to regular people, that had $500,000 or 700 grand or 2 million bucks that they'd, come into in some form or fashion. I wasn't dealing with people that were what I thought to be on my level from a financial intelligence perspective. And so it was frustrating at times, but I was very passionate about taking a regular, like a DuPont engineer who was extremely intelligent, but very, very irrational about his money, and
Yeah.
getting him to a system and a process, a very engineering-like process. So I was an engineer in a world of business people, marketing people, and it worked. It worked pretty well for me. I made lots of money, and I made lots of money for people, and I changed a lot of people's lives, and I was passionate about that.
Yeah.
And so eventually, just to kind of wrap up the story here to get to Obsessed Garage, eventually in 2004, we had our second child, and I've struggled with passing out when I go to a doctor. That's my trigger. Some people, it could be a spider, but there's a certain small percentage of people that have this autonomic response of fight or flight, where your body protects itself by all of the blood leaving your head and extremities and going to protect the heart, and you pass out.
Is
And
that part of the
it's
vasovagal?
Correct. That's what vasovagal is. And so, first time it happened to me was in sixth grade, and it's been happening periodically. Sometimes when I go to a dentist or doctor, and it's been a joke that I didn't used to be so chubby, but I'm 6'2", 225, and jacked, and I'm a big baby. And it was always this joke. Well, for whatever reason, in 2004, we had Kate. I was in the delivery room. I passed out. And then like a week later, another guy quit it, at the Merrill Lynch. And then there's just a lot going on, and I'd taken on the weight of the world. And for some reason, at an instant, not only did I kind of pass out at times, but I almost passed out in a store, like in regular life, not at a doctor's office. It's the first time this ever happened. And when that happened, something clicked in my brain, and anxiety entered the equation as well. And so I had this sort of seminal event in my life, or this, like, once your body learns what a panic attack and anxiety is, it feels just like passing out. So it feels like the same thing. And so I entered this like endless loop of anxious, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. I'm 34 years old, rich as heck, super successful. I'm impressive to everybody that I would want to be impressive to,
Yeah.
and I can't function. I can't live. And that's when I started. I started therapy. I met with some goofy therapist who was really good for me, because I was so, up to that point, I was better than. I thought I was better than you because I had more money, or I could bench more, or could run faster, or jump higher, or had a nicer car. And until that point, um, there was it was a humbling event. I call it a seminal event because it humbled me when anxiety and vasovagal and all of the these compulsive tendencies all came to a head. Like, I have a bunch of rituals. Like, I'll look at, like, if it's about to turn 3:03 p.m., I would have to make a wish. Or like, if I didn't, if I did, I'd have to go lock the door a couple of times, because if I didn't lock it, I wasn't afraid of it not being locked, but if I didn't do that, then I would get cancer. So I had all these weird kind of ticks, all these
Wow.
weird worries and subconscious things that I just swallowed, and when it came to a head, I needed something as an outlet, and that's where YouTube came in. So the very first videos, if you go watch them, I'm shooting on a Canon 5D Mark II. There's no autofocus, there's no microphone. I didn't give a crap. I was just talking to the camera. It was a way for me to invite people into my garage. I'd been told by every single person in my life, do not share your Porsche, do not share your BMW, do not share your house. You have to wear different clothes when you're out in public. You
People
can
get
have those
jealous.
things, but there has to be a Chinese wall between, the great wall between you as a human and you as a business practitioner, which couldn't have been further from the truth of what should be the case.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, I was humbled. I started a YouTube channel, and I became considerably more approachable than I ever had been in my life. And I started inviting people in through YouTube in life. And I just invited. I'm the guy that I'll come help you move, but I'd be afraid that if you came and helped me move, that I'd owe you something. And I just said, forget that. And I just started inviting people into my life. And it's burned me quite a bit since then. But the fruits of this invitation is so much greater than what could have been. And I've stuck to my guns from the beginning of I'd probably be better if I just shut up and did donuts in my GT3. But I'm just doing, me. And I know that there are many, many people that can, develop some value that struggle with something similar. Like I have some weirdo who I'm guarantee he'll watch this and start commenting on this video, who tells me I don't have obsessive compulsive disorder. He somehow is determined. He probably called my doctor. And somehow, so you have all this pushback of people
Of
saying
course.
no, 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 and you just the trying to be as impressive as possible has been the drug for me that has created these passion projects, and then the ignoring of all of that noise is, I think, sort of the formula to this. So
And
sorry,
so,
I don't know you were looking for that long of an answer, but that's the story.
no, it's fine. That's what we're here to learn. So, like, one takeaway for me and all that we share is obviously there's a common thing about passion that drives people to this next level. Like, I'm sure things you're passionate about, you can talk on and on and on and go on. And I'm kind of the same. When somebody lights my fire with something that I actually enjoy, and that's one of the reasons why I also started my YouTube channel. It's my girlfriend who actually told me, I've never seen anybody spend 13, 14 hours in a garage detailing a car. You don't even take a break to go pee. You don't eat. That's crazy. Why don't you share that obsession and that passion with people online? You speak English, you speak French, you share it in both languages. And she's the one who actually came up with Pan TheOrganizer, because she knows that I like to organize everything in my life. I like to organize my finances, people's finances, my family's finances. I like to have a super clean house, the car, like it extends to every part of my life. I just like compartmentalizing things, getting things into order, getting the best out of everything. I think one of the things we have in common too is we always strive for the best, or at least we're in pursuit of the best of something. Like, you like home theater, I like home theater. I'll research that for like days and days and days, trying to figure out what's the best setup, what's the best projector, what's the best TV, is OLED better than plasma, what wires, what this, what that. And I mean, it extends. I kind of like to say I have all the sicknesses that guys have, which means I like electronics, I like computers, I like cars, I like detailing. It's just nuts. So it's an endless money pit, but I like it. I mean, there's something satisfying about going through deep in the rabbit hole and kind of figuring things out for yourself. And I'm self-taught on many things. I like to educate myself on everything. And I think passion is a big part of it. And another thing that you said that I appreciate is that, yes, some people like myself do have great education, and that can lead to positive things, but education isn't all of it. And I think if you're passionate, truly passionate about something, and that's one reason why I think a lot of people also start YouTube channels, is they usually have a talent. So what I say, you need to be successful on YouTube, because it's not easy. Everybody thinks you just take a camera, you start filming, right, and you'll get like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and that's just not how it works. You have to be different to bring something to the table that's either better or presented in a different way than what everybody else does in the space. And truly, you have to have passion. That is unbelievable. So Matt, in your story, what always strikes me is how does one go from a very high paying job in the world of finance as a financial advisor to leaving it all behind, and you create this business, Obsessed Garage, not only through the YouTube channel, but it eventually became the online website, where you sell and curate detailing supplies, products, tools, equipment, anything garage related that people need, um, to professional detailers or enthusiasts or weekend warriors or whoever. But also you openly say, or maybe famously or infamously, and you don't hide behind this, you have no filter, but you say like, you don't give a crap about detailers, or you don't care about detailers. So how do you still achieve a crazy level of success if you don't care about the people that you're catering these products to? So I think a lot of people have that same question, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a joke that I don't care about. I don't really care about anybody, That's the thing. Like, what I care about is I care about others that care about the same thing I do. I enjoy being around others like that. It's not about a detailer or a mechanic or a certain personality, a rich person, a poor person. It doesn't really matter. None of that matters. Black, white, blue, purple, tall, short, none of that matters to me. And so people would think that, you're catering to detailers. Well, forgive me, but detailers are not the target audience to sell to. Maybe consumer detailers, but professional detailers would not be the target audience. They don't need me. They don't need you. They don't need anybody. They might watch some of the stuff, but they should be, figuring out their own process, maybe using some of the things they learned from YouTube and others. But what I care about is, again, having an intelligent conversation. And that's why I've been unrelenting in comments and things like that to say, look, let's have an intelligent conversation. You don't have to agree, but I'm not interested in opinions. I'm not interested in factless opinions on things. I don't share my opinions. I'm sharing my experience, which I think is a different thing. And so, detailing a lot of times gets a little bit in the weeds of, and detailing is like 10% of my passion. I would say it's probably a bigger percentage of your passion. I like detailing. You detail a lot more than I do. But I think that the progression towards finding professional grade products is my skill set. It's my thing. It's what I'm good at. I mean, you walked around with me at SEMA, and I'm like a
That was
gosh darn
legendary. It was so
I'm like
fun.
a gosh darn encyclopedia of I just love this stuff so much that you probably didn't even get a word in. I'm running you around all over the place saying, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at these cabinets. You look at this Rousseau and Lista, and I figured out that. Yeah, I think your question was more about, how do we make this transition from a job to to a passion project. But I'd figured out that desire for cool stuff isn't stuck with detailers. It isn't stuck with only car guys. It can apply to really anybody. And so when I say I don't give a crap about certain things, it's because I'm more focused on just in general, just life, just people in general. And I really enjoy, having discussions and being around other people that have a shared passion. And I do not enjoy being around people that don't. You know, I don't like going to a dinner party with a bunch of regular people. We have nothing in common. I envy them in many instances because they aren't cursed with, this money pit of cars and detailing supplies and electronics and other bull crap. But then again, I'm not cursed with giving a crap about political stances and other weird stuff that everybody has their thing. And so the transition into doing this solely has been, has been amazing for me. If you want the story, I'll tell you that. Um, of how do you make that transition from your job to
That
doing.
leap, yeah, to say, you know what, I'm leaving that behind, and I'll be focusing on this Obsessed Garage thing that just blew up and became a thing of its own.
What's funny is that when I was in wealth management and people would ask me for advice, I knew exactly what to tell people, how to like get ahead in life. And people ask me now, and I don't have a freaking clue what to tell them, because my transition into what I'm doing now, I didn't like sit down and plan it out. Like there was no even all the paths in my life I've never planned out. They were opportunities that opened up. Mentors entered into my life at different points, and I was just open to the possibility. And so in probably, I guess it was 2016, I had already built the Obsessed Garage website. And the only reason I built the website is because people were yelling at me. And I was fighting with people in the comments on YouTube about, you've got to put links to all the stuff you're using in the video. And I'm like, I don't have freaking time for that. Just watch the video and look it up. I told you what it costs and where to get it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I built obsessedgarage.com so that I wouldn't have to do that in every video. And I don't think at that time, I don't think they had a template on YouTube for you could just put it all and just, have it show up in every video. And so I built obsessedgarage.com on WordPress with a buddy from church. He'd made me the hex, the logo, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday he doesn't come and sue me for, when that's worth like $100 million. But he made it for me and kind of set me up on WordPress and turned me loose. And I started linking to like various detailing sites, and then on Amazon. So I started making, so 2015 is when I finished the site. 2016 is when I launched a few t-shirts and made a few $1,000. And then in late 2016, I went to SEMA for the first time. And that's when my Amazon account got shut down. I tried to set up Amazon Pay for my t-shirts, and it triggered some sort of, password fraud attempt, and they just shut it down. And there was no recourse to open it. I had that account since like 1999.
Wow.
And it just shut down, and I couldn't get it reopened. Like there's no one to talk to. You just send you send in a request, and it would just go in a loop, and nothing would happen.
Still like that today.
So it was in that moment that I realized that, this affiliate thing, I don't really like anyway. It doesn't really work very well. And so, because I'm not getting credit for all of the influence that I actually have. And so why don't I look into what the margins could be retailing products on my own? Also, it was extremely difficult for me to refer to somebody, even on different links, because I'd have to send them 13 links to buy a Krenzel pressure washer set up in the fashion that I had set it up.
With all the connectors and all the stuff.
Yeah. And so I started to set out to try to convince the companies to let me sell the stuff. And they all told me no. And it took a lot of convincing to get them to say yes. Even to this day, everybody still tells me no. And then
Really?
and then in January 2017, I asked my parents to start shipping stuff for me. And we launched the pre-order of the Krenzel pressure washer, and it sold like 45 or 50,000 bucks there. I think it was like 47,000 in the last week of January. And then ever since then, I've had trouble getting products in stock since day one. And I don't know what we're at now, but somewhere in the 25 million range of stuff sold since 2017. It's been pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started. Now the transition happened in 2018. I started to really see a benefit that if I cared this much about wax, that people were starting to inquire about, well, how do you buy this wax? Because Obsessed Garage wasn't making very much money yet. And so people were trying to make the correlation, like, what does this guy do for a living? How does he own all these cars? And so I was trying to make a connection between wealth management, because I wanted to start working for people like me that I had a shared passion with. They like cars. I like cars. I'm the right guy to manage their money, but how do you tell them that? And so I made a few vlogs of my life. I started making some day in the life vlogs, and those vlogs got me fired. So that's basically what happened. And that I thought I owned my own business, and I went too far. That I've tried to find the line. Dave Chappelle is quoted as find the line and tiptoe over it. Well, I took a full step over it. And so I found the line, and they deemed I was too much of a risk. And so we parted ways from wealth management, and I took the risk I left my practice behind. I got nothing for it, and actually I had to pay to get out of it, and so it was the best move I could have ever made, because of course Obsessed Garage took off even more after that. I think I was making, what were we doing? I think we did in 2018, I did like 3.6, 3.7 million or something like that in sales, which is a career. If you have 20 or 30% margins, I mean, that's a lot of money that you still net. Let's say I had 20%, pre-tax margin. I mean, that's still $700,000 a year that you make. And I walked away from, a career where I was making about that much. And so it was a tough thing to stomach, because it's nice, making $1.5 million between two jobs, and then you go back down to 600 or 700, but with no guarantee. And before this call, we were talking about that, that fear of, now I'm doing this Obsessed Garage thing full time. So now I'm going to have an agenda, because the whole beginning of it, I didn't give a crap. Right. I didn't
Yeah,
care what anybody thought, because I had a job and this
there
is
you
just
go.
fun. Now it's not fun anymore. It's like, I thought for sure when I left wealth management, I thought for sure I'd have to sell my house and sell some cars, and I'll get something more basic and I'll start over. And luckily by the end of 2018, I had 5 employees and it freaking launched. So I didn't have
And
to
you have
do
like
any
what,
of
20
that.
employees today?
19. Yeah.
19. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story of sort of how I made the transition. It wasn't like I was. I'm simplifying it. It was a lot more painful to like be in legal battles and all of that stuff. It was there was a lot of money on the line of contracts and violation of contracts and all these things, and so I was in hot water. Even though I didn't really do anything wrong, it was questionable whether or not I did by sharing my life. And you can't share your life unless it's scripted. You can't share your life unless it's pre-approved. Well, in my world, that's not sharing your life. That's faking your life. And so that is not remember the rules in the Securities Exchange in the United States were written in 1933, 1934, 1940, and 1970. Those are the 4 acts that govern marketing rules. And here we are in 2020. No one has an interest in revamping them. I was trying to fix the system. And when I realized I didn't want to be the guy to do that, I sat down and just did a quick little calculation of if I did just Obsessed Garage, if I did just wealth management, or if I did both, but both in not a way that I wanted to do it. And so I chose Obsessed Garage, and it was a great move. But I didn't like grand plan any of this crap. It just, as all these crossroads have shown up in my life, and I just
Exactly.
took one and then try to be an impressive at it as much as possible.
Lots of insight. I love that. Hopefully the viewers are enjoying all of this. It's going to lead me into my next topic, which I'll call personality. So we were talking a bit before when we met at SEMA. That was so fun. Like I got to see you there for the first time in person, because we had been talking before that. Both our channels at that time, if I remember, we were roughly at like 130,000 subscribers. And so what struck me, I think, when I met you in person is when you see the Matt Moreman on camera, you see this guy that's passionate, that goes on and on and on and can talk and very confident. And I myself, I think I'm very outspoken, outgoing. I'm this happy-go-lucky. I have this like big personality on screen. And I think you noticed in person, and you commented on one of your vlogs that, yeah, he's the real deal. It's the same guy that you see on camera was the same on in person. And with you, it was a bit of the opposite. Like I noticed you were more, you were super passionate and you were able like to talk and talk and talk, but you were more of the guy when we sat down at one of the events with the rag company that you'd sit down and more in your corner and kind of observing and listening, and more not subdued. How would I call that? A bit shyer, I should say. So there's something that lights up when you're in front of a camera. But that leads me into something funny. Is my girlfriend often tells me that I'm far from being a quote normal person. So in the beginning, I used to be super offended by that because I thought it was negative. But then I realized over the years, we've been together for about a decade now, that it was something like super positive, because I'm not like everybody else. I see the world in a different way. I have crazy visions and goals. And that's part of, I think, what makes me successful. So Matt, my question to you would be, do you think you're normal? Does
Yeah,
that make any
certainly
sense?
not. And and this is where I used, before being humbled, I was not approachable at all. I've, felt like I didn't know this at the time. I was blind to it, but after, you know, going through therapy and trying to figure out what was wrong with me, I thought it was a superior thing. Like, regular people were not interesting to me. I didn't want to invite anybody over because they wouldn't take their shoes off, or they would screw something up or mess something up. And so I looked at it as, if somebody called me not normal, as I would smile and accept that gladly. And I now know today that oddity, I can recognize more when I'm being frustrated out in public. I can recognize more when I'm being frustrated with, like, I don't get in fights as much as I used to in the beginning of YouTube. I still occasionally will have to feel the need to, like, put somebody in
Yeah.
their place, but I don't get in fights as much, because I can see where others are coming from, more than I ever have in the past, by knowing more about myself. And so, yeah, being different, being odd. I also see it in business, and understanding now. I feel like the world has opened up a whole new dimension that others can't even see. That now I feel like I'm a part of this very exclusive club of very few people that can see the world from a little bit different perspective. And I'm just now, I feel like I'm an infant in that dimension, and I feel like I'm just now learning to walk in that walk of whatever that is, and that the responsibility I have, doesn't afford me the ability to feel superior because of my oddity. Instead, there's a lot of responsibility in that being different, and the blessings and gifts that I've been given, are equally balanced by curses as well. And so I feel very responsible for that, and I'm learning how to navigate within that realm.
And it's funny that you talk about, in your early days of YouTube, picking fights with people and reading those comments, because I also noticed that there's that kind of stuff on pretty much every YouTube channel, and it seems the bigger you get, the more of those keyboard warriors you get. So this leads me to my next topic. We have clearly two successful YouTube channels by any way you analyze the metrics. They're there. The proof is there. So mine's almost at 600,000 subscribers. You're over a quarter million, I think, now at this point, subscribers. So there are people who tune in and who enjoy, thankfully, our content. But for any form of success, there's always a flip side. And on YouTube, I find the YouTube space, that flip side is the negative comments in the in the comment section. And so there's these keyboard warriors. There's people who feel entitled to an opinion just because they might not like our personality, which I'm fine with that. If you don't like me, or you don't like Matt, or just move on, find something else, go find another. Like, there's literally, especially now, hundreds of detailing channels on YouTube. So why do you have this urge to absolutely need to tell us how stupid we are, or how much of an idiot, or you don't like our face, or uh, and so I read those comments on my channel, and on other channels too. There's always something fun about it. And one thing I noticed, is that when you seem to lose your cool, or you go ballistic on people, if you want to call it that way, is when people say that you're wrong about something, that Matt Moreman got it wrong. He didn't get it right. Uh, why does that affect you more than like other types of comments?
One of the big epiphanies in my life in the last, few years is, I hired a business coach, and I've taken a course, and he's, he made all this up, but he's categorized people into four categories. There are people that have to know all the answers before they act. There are people that, are positional, meaning they have a need to protect their position. There are people who have reasons for everything, so people that have a reason for everything and a reason why. And then there are people that are being right, as if they have the right to be right. So there's these four types of personalities. Again, he made this up, but it really does fit for most
Makes
people.
sense, yeah.
And so when you can recognize, So I'm a being right. I wanted to be a having it all the answers. I thought that's who I was. That's who I aspired to be. That type of person that I was very meticulous and would analyze. It's a lie. That's a lie I'm telling myself. I have to be right. I don't speak unless I'm right, or at least I think I'm right. This is why I don't do a lot of opinion. Like if you really think about how I speak and what I'm talking about, there's very rarely an opinion. It's more an experience. Now, experience and opinion can be, you could argue that they're the same thing. I would say I have an experience with a MacBook Pro because I've had 7 of them, versus I don't like MacBook Pros. If I've never had one, I've never touched one, I've never used one. That's an opinion. Whereas an experience is like, I don't like I didn't like my Audi S4 because it understeered. That's not an opinion. That's an experience. That was my experience with the thing. And so when people get in there and they start saying, the thing that really frustrates me and gets me, the way to get to me is when you is if I don't think that that I know, you think I'm stupid. Right. So it's very convoluted. Like you can tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm not. But if I think that you don't know that I know something, it drives me crazy and I lose my crap. And so the goal in life, so when I say I'm an infant in learning how to navigate this position that I now have in life and this new dimension that's opened up, when you can eventually recognize when you are violating your own personality type, when you can start to recognize that what's happening there and why you're angry and why you're activated by something. When you can recognize that, if you could walk through life always understanding when somebody's being positional, when you're having to be right, you can almost tell yourself you're right, and that'll diffuse it. And so yeah, that's what gets me. But I've gotten more and more and more mature and understanding where they're coming from, and then understanding when and why I'm being activated. And if we can get there, man, there's some really some of the best, like Gary Vee is a great example of somebody who just really, it seems to me, he really understands himself and how to manage things like that. And so there are certain people that are gifted with that skill set. I'm certainly not one of them. And so the more you can learn to navigate that, I think the better chance you have of bringing people along, giving them the opportunity to understand where you're coming from in the future. Because the biggest thing with me is that, the way I speak slowly, I speak confidently, and I understand, and I'm standing in my freaking mansion in Florida. I understand that there's an immediate judgment that happens, and so if I can be more responsible with that and still do me and still stand and show everybody everything, and not get activated, I'm going to give them a chance to come around beyond their immediate, their initial dismissal of me, and that's why I have, 250,000 people watching and not more, because the vast majority of people just see me and they just judge me immediately without really knowing me. And so the long-term, goal of mine, when I'm 75 years old, I'll have it all figured out. So that's how I've been, navigating this. And, I'm being real with you on how I work my way through this life that I now live.
And I think you're right about that. And you often say that too, is just do you. I noticed that regardless of how well you try to do or how good the videos are, there are always people who don't like you because you're you, and you can't change that. Where it sucks is when you've done all that hard work and just people, they probably haven't even watched the video. They just don't like your face, and they'll write a comment like, well, clearly you didn't watch the video, so what are you talking about? But there's that world where they feel entitled to give their positions like that, or be super negative, and that I think is hard to navigate for a lot of us. Because I mean, bottom line, at the end of the day, we're sharing our lives, our passions. We let people into our lives like way more than we'd think. And you're one of them. Like, you're super outspoken. You're very clear, very direct, an open book. You've said a lot about even the finances that your business generates. Like, who else does that? Nobody does that, right? So that comes with, some will appreciate the transparency, and others will say, well, look at this guy. He talks about his
Yeah,
millions
he's
of
only
dollars.
sharing that to show off. That's context. I mean, everybody wants to know that.
Exactly.
And I'm maturing a little bit, and I understand now that people, like regular people, can't handle that. Like they don't know what to do with it other than to pitchfork you, to get the pitchforks out and want to burn you at the stake, which is crazy to me. I'm from the freaking trailer park, like,
There
come
you
on,
go. I
come on.
came from a middle class family myself, and I, like, there's nothing that was handed to me. I had to work for all of this, and hopefully, as you guys saw, the viewers, it doesn't come magically. Like, hard work is nuts, and I know you do it too, and I still do to this day. I will, even though the money comes in, even though you have the success, it never stops. I'm constantly thinking about the next thing, the next move, the next video, what other steps to do in life. If I'm looking at investments, what stocks to purchase, I'll spend 2-3 hours a day reading financial reports and reading about the company's finances, the quarter reports, trying to analyze the markets. Where am I going? How am I diversifying? When COVID happened, how do you go about, well, now is the time for me to invest, because when the market plunges, I look at that as a great investing opportunity. So when I see others panicking, that's where I swoop in. And I'm sure you're the same thought process. And I learned that through listening to Warren Buffett and experts in the matter. And they say you buy low and you sell high. When people get excited, that's when it's time to get out of there. When the average Joe is buying into a stock, it's probably too late to sell out. So there's a lot of things like that I apply to my life. And I mean, I guess some people don't want to understand it. Or do you think there can also be, for sure, there's I don't want to say jealousy, because it looks pretentious, and I don't like being that way. It's just that somehow when a person reaches a level of success, others have to try and figure out, well, why didn't I get that? Why? Well, I should be grabbing a camera, and I could get 500,000 subscribers too. It seems to be super easy. Well, try it, and you'll see that it's not. There's crazy work. Like, there's nights I don't even sleep, because my brain, that's the way I function. It constantly thinks about the next thing, the next year, the next 10 years, the retirement, the goals. I'm very goal oriented. And that's probably a thing that I'd give to people is, if you want to become successful, you need goals in your life. You need to set, and if they're dreams, that's fine also. You want to reach that next level. And it's not just by thinking of the everyday life as, well, okay, well, I'll look at tomorrow, I'll wake up and I'll go to work. No, to be successful, if that's what people want, hopefully that's what they want if they're watching the video, is you have to put a lot of effort into it. And often one common trait that I find of successful people that I look around me is they can have different education backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different political views, or whatever, even different jobs. But one common trait is often super hard work. You'll find these people putting in hours and hours. They'll get back home, they continue to do stuff. They're constantly productive. I cannot just sit down and do nothing. Every now and then, yeah, I'll watch a video or a movie. But even when I'm watching YouTube videos, I follow all of you guys' channels, because I want to stay up to date. What's going on? Who's new to the business? Who are the up and comers? Are there any channels that I can help? Because that's one thing I love to do, is to reach out to the smaller channels and help them grow. Because for me, the community is important. I'm not this, because I see a lot of bigger channels, they do their own thing and they don't reach out to others, and they don't like to collab. And I'm totally the opposite. I act the way I wish some of the bigger channels would have done when I first started, and that wasn't the case. And so now I reach out and I'll try and help these guys. I want to help them reach the next level, because that's another thing that I find cool, is having people successful around me. I don't look to people who are less successful. I always look up and try to learn things from people who I value and I find that became successful, and try to learn lessons. And I often tell that when I plow into some people in those comments that are just negative people, and I've gotten to a point where I don't take BS anymore. So I tell them, like, how do you talk like that to somebody that clearly has had success or some form of passion, and we're trying to do something out of that, share our knowledge and passion and take our time to do this, and you're here just typing away these weird random comments. You should be looking how to better yourself, how to improve things in your life, how to be productive with your life. Isn't that something you also relate to, Matt? Like the super hard work and the trying to figure out what the next steps are, where you're going in life. You don't stay at a standstill doing nothing and just praying.
I think just kind of hearing you speak, I'm a lot less deliberate than you are. Despite what people, perceive of me. I'm actually much more artistic and than I would think, that I even thought I was. So I don't like you're probably much more buttoned up than I am. I'm a I'm a work crazy spurt and then do nothing. So I'm an all or nothing type. And
Okay.
I've learned this a lot about myself. So I'll go all in, all encompassing, can't do anything else. Like right now, I'm on this like Survivor. I'm watching the show Survivor, and like there's 40 seasons. And like I've probably watched 25 of them in 2 weeks. So
Wow.
I'm an all or nothing. And then I'll get into like a Milwaukee project and change the freaking world.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'll do nothing, and or I'll just tinker around. And so I'm a bit opposite. Or I have no interest in stocks. I have no interest in finance. I have no interest in any of that because we can discuss that. But because um, I I see the value in the returns of a different investment. So I just hired somebody to take care of all my money, and I'm looking for like a 2% return. I don't even care what
Oh,
return I
really?
get. Just buy whatever he buys, and we'll probably make S&P like returns, and he can charge a 1%. I don't give a crap. I have no interest in any of that. I never really had an interest in that. I had an interest in writing algorithms, writing strategies, so that I didn't have to do any of the stuff that I didn't have time to do, which was to
You find a way to automate all that process. I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's I'm a little bit opposite of you in that, and I'm very spontaneous. I leap head first and then figure it out. So that's why I have a lot of cars. That's why I have a lot of stuff, and yet it's worked out for me to this point. In that, again, I'm following the crossroads. What's the crossroad? What is interesting to me? And then the formula, the very simple formula, is if it's of interest to me, there's going to be others that might have an interest in it as well, and then I'll figure out how to make that work, and that's how I do it. And so I have 20 employees, not out of some grand design. It's like I need another person to do this job, and I can have them generate X amount of return, so I'm going to hire them. I'm going to buy this next car because I'm interested in it. I know there's other people that are interested in it. I know if I do it the way I want to do it, that other people will find value in that. And then I'll sell more stuff because they'll be interested in it. And so that's how I think through things. I know that if I take 200 grand and I give it to that guy, he'll make me a 6 or 7% return. I could probably do better, but I'm going to be better off focus on building a strategy around building out a Milwaukee product line, because I'll make 50,000% return on that investment. That's the way I think about things. So when I say I figured out a new dimension, I have no desire to retire. I have no desire to play with the stock market. I have no desire to do any of that. I just want to have this ability to have these 4-hour spurts of just pure passion dump and then do whatever. The problem is, and this is where the OCD comes in, is when I'm doing whatever, I'm worried about I should be doing for a 4-hour dump. So if I can get to the point to where I just do whatever I do and accept it, and if that'll allow me to accept people and accept everything, then that dimension, I won't be crawling anymore. I'll be sprinting, and that's what I'm working towards.
We
So.
constantly evolve. Eh? We learn a lot about ourselves as we grow older, and that's one thing. I'm 39 now, and I'm sure you're 40, I think, eh?
Mhm.
So roughly the same age, and
But you can
so
see the benefit to that. I mean, your process. I mean, that's why you've doubled and tripled me up from the amount of followers, the amount of engagement that you have, and you're much more aware of the surroundings. But it all can work,
yeah,
And so if I try to do it your way and you try to do it my way, then it can't work. And that's why I don't ever give people advice on how to start a YouTube channel or anything like that, because you just can't. I mean, you're not going to be able to do me because I'm me. You're not me, and I'm really odd. So there's no freaking chance you're going to be me, and you wouldn't want to be me even if you could be. For gosh sakes,
exactly. People can't imitate us.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's many ways. So like there's no you look at just look at other types of outlets, and I don't even think of myself as a YouTuber. I just think of myself as I'm a business operator. I'm a person who has some value to provide the world. I'm confident in that value, and then I think that there are others that might benefit from that. And the more I can learn about how to do me without turning people off, the better off I'm going to be, you know?
So before I get to the last final hot topic, so you have children, and what I like about our videos is we, both you and I, even though we use different methods, we try to inspire people or to at least share our passion. We do it very openly, and what I like is that people who have the inspiration, they'll often tell us in the comments, or they'll send us an email or drop a text message or whatever. And for me, I'm always impressed that you can touch people like that through this platform, and it changes their lives. Like, how many people have said, listen, I didn't know what to do anymore. Like, I graduated from school, or maybe I didn't graduate, and I kind of oriented myself through detailing because of you. And today I can like feed my family and my kids. And because of that, I find that's amazing.
Hope their plan isn't to be a detailer forever, though.
Yeah, I know you often tell them you got to figure out how to get out of detailing, right? And that
Yeah.
makes kind of a sense. But it's nice to see that we have this capacity to touch people. So if you had to maybe summarize, how would you tell if your kids asked you this question? So, Dad, how do I become successful? Which few words of advice, without getting into a lengthy answer, but what is maybe some quick advice that you'd have to at least start the process, the think process in their heads of like, okay, you know what, I have to start thinking of this or that. What advice would you give to somebody who says, listen, man, how do I become successful? What is this success thing? I don't know what that means.
I've been working a lot to figure that out because, I get asked that all the time. And again, like I told you earlier in this Zoom meeting, I used to know the answer to that. Like, here's what you do: you do this. You cold call, or you find a way to do this, and this is how you work your way up the corporate ladder. And now I don't believe any of that. Like I said, I used to teach people how to retire. I have no desire to retire ever. Like, what am I going to do? If
Yeah.
I, there's a quote. I was watching the show Yellowstone in one of my other, do nothing periods. I watched the whole season in like a day. And John Dutton is the owner of like 2 million acres in Montana, and he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have like billions of dollars, but he's got billions of dollars of land. And he's quoted as he says, if I had all the money in the world, this is what I'd buy. Meaning he would buy his ranch if he had all the money in the world. So, because everybody's trying to get him to sell off the ranch, because then he could be super rich. And it's kind of similar with me and what Obsessed Garage has become, is that if I had all the money in the world, this is what I would do. And so, how do you figure out, knowing that you're not going to get there tomorrow if you're 20 or 19 or 17 or 28, or you're just figuring this out at 40? You can't turn that on immediately, but how are you going to get to the point that if you had all the money in the world, this is what you do? And how do you figure out how to make that thing you do create all the money in the world for you? And that's really, really hard to do if you're not entrepreneurial minded. And so it very rarely is it going to be a path like mine or Pan's or somebody entrepreneurial. It can be, if I had all the money in the world, I would be a teacher. It can be, if I had all the money in the world, I would be a C-suite number two. I want to be a CFO of a technology-driven company. It can be, I want to be the best carpenter in the world. But it also, you need to be open to the crossroads that show up in your life, and you need to, I think, not get stuck. And that's why I say, and I rag on detailers a lot, just polishing cars, could very likely be, if I had all of the money in the world, this is what I'd do. But I think there's a very, very small percentage of people that are actually doing detailing every day that would say that. And I think a lot of people get stuck because you can make cash and you can make a decent living at it. And if you were passionate at the beginning, I think it'd be very easy to lose that passion. And so I'm not here to debate whether or not it's the right choice. I think you need to ask yourself that question. If I had every thing I could ever have, this is what I would do. I would just polish a fender, and then I'd figure out a way to have somebody polish the hood and the other fender and the glass. But I'm going to polish a fender because that's what I want to do, and I want to do it 10 hours a day for the rest of my life. I never want to retire. I just want to do that, and I become so good at it that now it has extreme value. That I'm giving talks on how to polish that fender. I'm developing products on how to develop how to polish that fender. I now have patents on how to do, whatever it is. I think you need to think, not entrepreneurial necessarily, but think a little bit bigger and less on, I need to pay my mortgage, so I'm going to do this because it pays my mortgage better than another.
A bigger vision. Yeah.
That's where I'm at this point in life, and understanding how that would look like. But I think there's still a lot of holes in that. How do you get to there? Some people get there when they're 17. Some people get there never. Most people never get there.
Exactly. I think the way I'd maybe give a tip is look at your life from a higher perspective. So as if you were hovering above yourself, let's say in a helicopter. So you have the broader vision, right? So there's not just you and the immediate day, which is tomorrow. So you kind of touched on this. Where do you want to be? So there has to be something more. Even for YouTube, this can't be the end game for me. I'm always thinking of something more, something greater. And so you need to start thinking about, what are your goals in life? Again, those goals, where do you want to be? Some people are okay with the income they generate. They don't need the big car. They don't want a fancy house. They don't have any endeavors or businesses they want to start. And that's fine too. But if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you want to have some form of success to be able to afford the nicer things in life, the nicer cars, do some nice trips, have some awesome memories with your family, start a business, or do something that you're passionate about, become your own boss and not depend on anybody else. So you need to start figuring out, what do other people do that I see are successful, and take bits and pieces from them. Because again, Matt said it and I say it too, you cannot duplicate or imitate the individual. So you can be me, you can be Matt. We have our own life stories, we have our own journeys, hopefully, as you guys saw as well. So they're different in some ways, and there are some similarities as well. So it's up to you guys to figure out also, what takeaways do you have from that, and how you can apply that to your own life, to a small scale or to a big scale, again, depending on where you see yourselves. But definitely, like, start working at it as early as you can. Some people, they do make it later in life, and it came as kind of a fluke. But the majority of, and I read the statistic watching Richard Frayne, he has a good YouTube channel on finances, and he had said, and this struck me, like in the US, 87% of millionaires are self-made millionaires. And so that tells you that, 13% inherited or became rich out of a lottery or whatever, or out of a fluke. But 87% of those, they generated their own wealth. And that's where I tell people to try and fit in, is figure your way. There is a way. You live in countries now that have all these opportunities, and it's up to you to figure it out. And so
funny how, are you seeing how different we are?
Well,
are you hearing the advice difference here? And I'm telling you, your path is so much different. We're both wherever we are in life.
Yeah.
But you're like goal. I don't set goals. But goal is, so there's different. What I'm getting at is there are different paths.
Exactly. And definitely you have a vision, right? You're not just
I don't look at anybody. I don't give a crap what anybody else is doing. In fact, I want to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. And so it's just it's like a totally different different mindset. I love it. It makes it motivates me that there's not one way to do it.
So Matt, this brings me to the final topic, the fiery topic, because I have to ask you some tough question. I think so far it's been too easy, because you asked me a couple of tough questions when we had the interview. But I think people will see that, listen, this is Matt and I can have conversations, and that's the cool thing. So my phone literally blew up in the past days, because I have connections and I'm friends with pretty much all the detailing YouTuber channels out there. And so they were telling me, dude, did you see Matt's Facebook post? Did you see Matt's Facebook post? I'm like, Matt's about what? Like, I follow his channel, but not everything that. So I saw that post that you're working on a test about spray-on paint protectants.
It's gonna be the best test the world has ever seen.
But wait, let me finish. And so to quote, you said that graphene sprays or silicon dioxide sprays, it's stupid. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So they were like, because I don't think they fully understand who you are. And I know you a bit more than that. So I'm like, listen, the way I see things, and maybe that's what differentiates me again, is that I understand that there are different markets for different types of products. So if somebody asks me what's the best form of paint protection, I have time, I have money, I have the passion, and I have some experience. Of course, full blown silica spray, silica dioxide, SiO2 ceramic coatings in those glass vials. So resin based, solvent based, and resin delivered. Yes, they're the longest lasting. Nobody argues against that. And we all know that. And whether it's the newer graphene forms in those glass bottles as well, which are either ceramic coatings infused with graphene, or some are starting to crack the code, but that's for another debate, because there are some smart chemists out there. I know some have said it's impossible. I just think they haven't cracked.
Show me them. I'm waiting to meet them.
Yeah, they have. Some haven't cracked the code, believe me. But anyhow, that's not the point. So the point is, I understand that there's also some people with no experience, who don't have a big budget, who don't have $50, $70, $150 to spend on a ceramic coating. They don't want to spend 15 hours on the vehicle, and they want something easy to apply that won't break the bank, that they can get at their local store, AutoZone or whatever stores are in the US or in Canada, or they can pick up online and just in a few minutes give some protection. I mean, some of them, and I've seen them because I've been using them for a while, they'll give you that 5 to 6 months of real world protection. We've like tried to submit them to all sorts of tests, and I follow them in real time as well, because I don't use test panels. I apply them to everyday driven daily drivers, which is again differentiates me from other YouTube channels.
Starts raining APC and Dawn all over the place. Yeah.
No, but you can follow them in real life. So there is added value. You do see the slickness, you do see the gloss, and those companies have a different type of market. But they're also, even the pro brands. I mean, CarPro has their spray version, the Reload. G-Technique has C2V3. Kamikaze has Overcoat. All of the pro brands also have those silica spray sealants that are either water-based or what have you not. So my point that I'm trying to figure out is, so you say it's stupid, it doesn't work, or what exactly do you mean by that? So of course, we understand that true ceramic coatings, of course, they're the best. I don't think anybody argues with that. But what is your point? Like, why are they not for those people who don't have the experience or the money to spend on that kind of stuff?
Well, I get that. I would say then get a different hobby and just who cares? Just don't do it. Either do it right or don't do it. It's generally my mentality. Either do it right or just don't do it. And so that's the thing I'm frustrated with, that I do not like, is using all these bullcrap names that they come up with.
I'll give you.
And copying to just, I'll give you an outside detailing example. So in college football, they've gone to like a clap, audible system where they clap. And then they all teach the quarterback to do this. And so one team came up with this idea. Next thing you know, every single football team does that exact same stupid thing just because they feel like they have to do it. Or girls decided, like, all of a sudden that they should wear their pants up to their freaking, up over their stomach. And that's like the cool style. And so everybody does it because everybody does it because everybody does it because everybody does it. And so when you have these big brands with these infinite resources and zero originality, come up with your own thing, because sprinkling some graphene in an existing product that already exists, that it's the same product, and they're sprinkling something in that doesn't do anything. It just doesn't. It's not any different than the product they would have had with or without the supposed graphene in it. They're only doing it because everybody else is doing it, because everybody else is doing it, because everybody else is doing it. So there's a pie. There's a pie for this amount of client. And then everybody has to go in and try to steal a little piece of the pie from the other person. I want to see companies go create their own freaking pie. Go create your own pie. And so I don't want to support that. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't care about you don't have enough money to buy this or that. I just, what do you think bead maker is? It's silicon dioxide spray. They don't say it's some super ceramics, blah, 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 blah. That's part of the reason why I like Dave Phillips, because he's not playing that game. And so I get really,
people
really
were wondering, why are you using bead maker? Because that's another spray protectant. You shouldn't be using that because that's stupid, right? So
no, it's good.
What would you say? No, but I mean, your point was that those spray products, and it's not the graphene debate. I think what you were trying to prove is that spray
They don't need
protection
to exist.
is crap. Okay, but you have to at least. I don't know if you've used some of those, but there are actual results. Like they do last long, and we've seen them.
Who
Like,
cares how long it lasts? You wash your car every week.
but wait a second. When
What does it
I
matter
started
how long it lasts? Just
detailing
spray it on
cars
again every time you wash it.
23 years ago, we were, I don't know in the US, but in Canada, we barely had like any Armor All crap or any spray product would only last a few days. And I was begging for things to exist that were better. And we surely didn't have any ceramic coatings back then. So we're at the point now today where some spray products can actually give you real world results at a like super inexpensive price. So I personally don't see anything wrong
So we
with
need
that.
one of them. We don't need 7,000.
Okay, so that's your take. Not that they don't work, or they're like you're going to get 0 days of protection.
There's no graphene.
Have no UV protection.
Graphene is a load of crap. We all know it. It's bogus, totally bogus. Graphene, the graphene spray is the same as the silicon oxide spray, is the same as the wax spray.
So
it's all the same crap.
What are you going to do the day that G Technique comes out with their graphene coating? Because we know it's all down the pipeline. Because I know you like the G Technique, but when they do, what are you going to do? Are you going to stop using their products?
Maybe.
Come on, Matt.
Unless they can show me that it's real.
In what? Okay, so what do you need to know from a person that's
real.
Not a chemist perspective?
Show me like an intelligent chemist who is really bought into detailing, who loves what he does, and isn't just doing it to frickin' sell colored water to people. Show me.
So who would you be most interested in hearing talk about
anybody. If anybody shows up and actually shows me, how it's real. Chris from B&B was like the most honest out of anybody.
Well, you've seen did you see his interview with me on my channel?
No, I've talked to Chris, personally, and he says, look,
smart,
I railed to make this, to call this a graphene ceramic, ceramic spray sealant, and I'm glad that Adams, listened to him on that, because now it makes sense. So now I just want them to all admit that all they did was sprinkle some black stuff in the same stuff they already had, and that's what we got.
But in the end, does it, because some people will tell me, oh, is it graphene? Is it SiO2? How much percentage? I remember a few years ago, there was a YouTube channel that is currently irrelevant now that used to bitch and moan about everything. And how much percentage, the SDS sheet, we all now, nobody cares about that. You shouldn't. So whether there's fairy dust or gold powder or whatever sprinkled in there, should we really care in the end? Isn't the end result and the actual product performance what really matters? How easy it is to apply? Does it really offer you protection? Does it last years? Does it give you the gloss? Does it look for so do we agree on that?
So yes, but I don't want I don't want to support the company that comes in and copies the originator of it.
But they all do. Like everybody does the same thing, right? Even the pro brands. The only reason why they're not ahead of the game on that is just because they don't have the same funds. But believe me, I talk with all of them. They're all coming up with that stuff, and you're going to see those in the next coming year. So I'm reminded of the beginning of ceramic coatings, right? Oh, I remember how people were saying 5-6 years ago, that's snake oil. You cannot put silica in a bottle. Are you kidding me? What is the SiO2? And this is often from people who have no chemistry background, who give their opinions on stuff just because they've been using waxes for 50 years. All of a sudden, they're discrediting this new technology. Fast forward 5 to 6 years later, everybody knows that ceramic coatings are the best form of paint protection. And I'd want you to prove me otherwise. I mean, we literally set fire on a panel recently and they were still on there. So they're serious.
Years ago, they weren't the best. They weren't good. They were
exactly. So things evolved, right?
So difficult to do.
But I remember people saying it's snake oil, it's bullshit. Don't, what are you talking about? It doesn't exist.
Well, in 5 or 6 years, if graphene is real, which it won't be, then I'll be all in. When you show me how to do a monomer, a single layer, and
one atom layer,
a single layer of carbon atoms with no oxide, it's not oxygenated. It's an actual graphene, which that would mean you'd have to paint the surface of the car with it. Then I'm in.
That might be the next step. They'll have to start looking into prove it. How do you show it to people? And the day that it's actually possible to have a one unidimensional, one atom thick layer, it's going to be bulletproof.
So the problem I have with the whole graphene argument is that it's not new. It's not like it's the same. Just think about even forget the water-based delivered, the water delivered, spray
Yeah.
sealants that they're sprinkling some other stuff in. The resin delivered, so an actual hand applied coating,
Yeah.
solvent-based resin delivered. If it's different, then why doesn't the bottle? It's the same bottle, it's the same size, the same 30 millimeters, the same color, it's the same everything. And now graphene has remarkably changed it, but it looks the same. It acts the same. It beads water the same.
But I don't think
Water
people
spots
understand
the
that
same.
there's not a big difference. The only claims that are slightly different is that it helps to reduce the amount of water spotting,
But it
at least
doesn't.
what it depends. I've found few in real world tests that do reduce them,
You
and
know what does? That
it's
formulation
easier to
of that
remove.
silicon dioxide happened to be, so the resin
That's
happened to water spot a little less. Just like Seacorts UK, the water spots less than CSL or SPS or whatever.
that's
It's
open
just
for debate. But I mean, there is some, but it's not like they're claiming that you're going to have like 20 years of protection and it's a permanent bond and you're like thickening your
they
clear coat.
are in using the name.
You think, yeah?
They're pandering to stupid. They're taking advantage of people. I don't like that.
So that's, well, yeah,
I'm
that's
just
your opinion. I think
frustrated.
that.
I'm frustrated in the bullcrap marketing element of the whole thing. And then you're going to take a bottle and you're pandering to. It'd be fine if they were pandering to what you're saying, which is the disfortunate, those that only have $20 to spend on their car care products. But that's not what they're doing. They're trying to sell more product. They're trying to take advantage of people instead of being honest. I just don't like that. I don't like
So
it at all.
in your test, I don't know what test you have in mind. I don't know if there's anything you can reveal or kind of let us
Usually,
know.
it's gonna be
But
fantastic.
are you coming at it because you're clearly, obviously, you're biased in the sense that you say they're crap, so you're going to try and prove that they are. But depending on what the test results are, if they actually give decent results, again, I don't know what you're doing with them, but are you going to be able to at least say, well, listen, what for a spray on product for $10 that you can pick off a shelf that takes you 5 minutes to apply and you're getting decent protection? If that's what you're looking for, good for you. But if you want the best, because
Yeah,
that's
but
what you're aiming for, it's not the best form of
a
protection.
product from companies that don't play these games and don't lie to people and don't make up bullcrap and don't jump on the bandwagon costs $10 too. So why not support those?
In what sense? Like who
Meaning
makes
CarPro,
it's never
G-Tech,
going to cost $10 with those companies. You know
um,
that
um,
they're always overpriced.
what's a bottle of bead makers like $12, something like
Yeah,
that.
but that's not
A
pro
bottle of
grade
Reload, it's
silica.
it's $50.
That's super
You
expensive for
can't
what it
come up
is.
with
It
50
doesn't
bucks.
last. Like I name you many spray formats of products and I love CarPro. My guys know this, but I can find many spray products that are way better than that at 1/5 of the price. That's like, for me, that's what crazy. So
50
why would I
bucks.
just say
You
that the
can't come up,
Reload is the
you
best?
put
It's
it on
not
a
the best.
$100,000 car, you can't come up with 50 bucks. Come
No,
on.
no, I can, but I know some people can't, and I do respect that. I know some
I don't
people.
respect that. I say get a better job.
Yeah, no, I see that's one big difference, and that's what I love
Uh,
about you, man. You're
that's
so
why I have
unfiltered. I
244,000
know.
subscribers.
Yeah. No, I actually do have respect and I understand and I think that's why my audience is very different. I do have the professionals. I have the weekend warriors with a lot of money, and I do have who are just starting or who are 15, 16, and they don't have the budget for that, but they still want to enjoy the process. And in the end, if I can leave at least one message to people is, I don't care what you used to be honest.
Yeah,
Just enjoy the process. Go out there and enjoy detailing your car. You're going to be ahead of 99% of the pack, because the majority of people don't give a crap about their cars and they don't take care of them. So you're
yeah,
already
that's fine.
way ahead of the league, right? If you're at least doing something and enjoying it. I
Well,
have
those
nothing against
people,
that.
those people that don't care for their cars, I envy them in many ways. I mean, trip it out.
You wish you could not give a crap. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be freaking awesome. I have buddies that, they just wipe their car down with one towel, and they don't give a crap. There's rubber all over from the track, and guess what? They sell their car for the same amount I sell mine at the end of the, end of the 3-year period, and they get another one, and they enjoy life. And I'm freaking wound so tightly worrying about somebody using the term graphene. That's that's a way worse place to be. And so I'm pandering to people like me. I'm not interested
Yeah.
in somebody who has to use a who has to buy a $12 bottle of something, I say, use some of the words I'm telling you and become the manager of McDonald's. You can buy a $50 bottle of frickin' CarPro.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe that's one of the big differences is my audience is so varied that I have to take into consideration and give different suggestions. I think your audience is very focused on the Matt way of doing things, and you're catering to obviously people who enjoy your process and who think alike or who think like you, right?
Yeah, I'm not looking for
Yeah.
the free lunch here. And you know that there's a huge there's this dream that people have that you can buy the $8 spray bottle of something and it's going to be that remarkable find. I just don't have any interest in that. I
Yeah.
have much more interested in brands and people that are enthusiasts that are making great products. I'm not looking for the thing that's that like is the gem. I'm looking for things that work great. If you notice, I don't try like the newest, latest stuff very often. I'm
Yeah.
much more interested in, in finding and developing a process that works. Uh, and, um, and I'll try some new stuff sometimes if it appeals to me. But I have a pretty strong BS meter, and I can usually tell when somebody's feed me a line, and I don't take very kindly to that, and so that's why. I mean, like your channel is very different. You're reviewing stuff. I don't review stuff. I'm
Yeah, I do
sharing my
tutorials and reviews. Yeah.
yeah, mine is a sharing of my life. It's a chronicling of my life. It's
And
just
I've seen you focus more and more now into, I think that like, cause in the beginning, it was more detailing focused, Obsessed Garage when I was
I
following it before
guess.
my channel, but now you're more, I think you found your niche or your niche, or however you guys call it, in the sense that it's more curating garages and experiences. And I saw how you love doing Emmanuel's Garage. If you guys haven't seen that, go check out Matt's YouTube channel for that.
Yeah, I mean that's been
He clearly made one of the best two-car garages, like arguably in the world, to be honest. And I saw the entire process, and I'm like, man, like Emmanuel must be over the moon having won that garage giveaway, and you're going to do another one. And I see how you enjoy that, getting to the end result. And I can clearly see a guy that's proud of what he's done. So you seem to have found more of your direction with the tools, the lifts, the equipment. And so I'm very different in the sense that I'll review products and give you the tutorials on how to do each step to like, it's more detailing focused. And so you seem to have found that direction that's cool, because everybody has their own niche in the space.
Yeah, well, if there is one goal that I set or one vision I've cast, it's to create an end-to-end solution for the garage. So,
Yeah.
detailing is 20% of what I do in the garage. Watching movies and listening to music is 20% of what I do in the garage. Playing with tools is 20% of what I do in the garage. 40% of what I do in the garage is modifying cars and and putting exhaust on and fixing things and tinkering with things. And so that's the garage and end-to-end solution would be my goal. I want to be able to provide people the paint, the baseboards, the lights, the butt connectors that you're using. So eventually I want to have an end-to-end solution that's scalable to provide people with how do you put together a garage? What pressure washer do I buy? And so in the beginning, it was very detailing focused because I had to build out the detailing process. And then now it's very tool focused because I'm working on the tool stuff. And then it'll be very focused on, organization. And then it'll be very focused on lighting. Vacuums are coming, something that I'm going to be very focused on in the next year and a half to figure out, vacuum cleaners and how to do that and what makes sense to me. And it's funny, I had a company just send me, I've been toying with the idea of partnering with somebody who is in the vacuum space, who is an expert in that field, who knows all the different brands. Like with pressure washing, I had to do that myself, and it took years to get there. And so with vacuums, I'm toying with the idea of partnering with someone that would cut my margins in half, but it would increase the speed at which I could get that done. And they sent me this vacuum, and first thing I said to them is that this is freaking garbage. Try again. And sent it back to them and said, "You're not even in the ballpark of what I'm thinking." And so that's my superpower, is the ability to be able to chase and figure out what fits in the garage, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
focused on. And detailing is a major part of that, but it's not the only thing I do.
Absolutely. Matt, I don't want to take more of your time. You've been super generous. I really
Why not? Let's keep
appreciate
rolling. I got nothing to do.
the discussion. Guys, by the way, in the comment section, if you want to see more of this, just let me know. Matt and I love talking. But if there's one question I have for my audience, and again, let me know in the comment
You
section.
only had one tough question. I thought you had another one.
I know. I thought I'd come in stronger. Oh, you know what? Okay, give me a sec. But guys, in the comments, let me know if there's one takeaway that you have from this video. What can you bring home?
Prick.
No, hopefully they see that. No, we can have these discussions even on difficult topics, and it's like
we disagree.
We disagree. We're passionate. Cool. Jesus, that's fine. He didn't yell at me. I didn't yell at him, and hopefully you don't think I'm an idiot, Matt. Do you think I'm an idiot?
No.
Okay, there we go.
I know exactly what you're doing, and you're right. You're right in many ways. I'm just not interested in that. Right? Yeah. I'm right. You're right, and I'm right. We both can be right.
Exactly.
No, I have strong experiences with products and developing the products and how they're developed, and I know what's going on behind the scenes, and that frustrates me, and I don't like that. I feel like the audience and the world is being taken advantage of, and I don't like that. Or you look at it a little differently, and that without this stuff, it wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have this opportunity. So
the way I like to see it is like, I'm still, my girlfriend sees every time there's an order coming in, like as fun as it is in the position that I am, of course, many companies send me free products, but I still order a ton, and you've seen me order through your own website, and I pay the crazy duties and taxes because I'm from Canada. But I probably order more in value every week than people do in a lifetime. It's ridiculous the amount of boxes that come up here, because I just like the process of opening the box, unboxing, getting that new product, regardless of what price point, who it's for. I like to test, and I like to show my favorite findings to the people. And I understand that there's different budgets, different experience levels, different needs, different wants. And in the end, it's just not the product, but I also do tutorials because I want them to understand there's a process behind that. It's not just taking a magical, because there's no magical product. There are some good products, but you have to do it properly. And it starts with reading the freaking label. A lot of people, I'm shocked, but they'll tell me, even to fantastic coatings. I got an email recently about Sequartz UK failing on one case from CarPro, or a G-Technique application. He said, I applied a layer of CSL and 2 layers of EXO, and I don't understand, after 3 days it's gone. I'm like, so I troubleshooted with the audience, with the individual, because it's hard, because I do get thousands of emails a day. But I said, okay, let me try and help this guy out. Although he should have reached out to G-Technique, I'm like, let me see. So we realized in the end, because I asked him, send me pictures, I need to have a bit more visuals of what was going on. So it's a beaten up car with clear coat failure, and there was no clear coat left, sun damaged, no paint correction, no prep, no nothing. The guy just thought I wash with a soap that's even wax infused, and he simply applied the ceramic coating. So I'm like, I have tutorials for that. And there's a reason for that. And even if you don't watch the tutorials, you should at least read the instructions. So my goal is to educate people on how to do things right. And if you do have a $10 budget, I'll help you through that process to at least do better than nothing. And if you do have the ultimate budget, you'll also find those ultimate products. So I'm super passionate about that.
You're a much nicer guy than me, Pan. You're much nicer.
Maybe that's the Canadian side of me. I don't know, that like I feel sometimes, the way, because I do have strong opinions as well. It's just, I have a capacity to maybe keep my mouth shut, or at least not talk, because the brands I don't have respect for and products that I don't like, there's 80% of it that doesn't make it to my videos. People don't know this, but I will reply to those companies and tell them straight out. And those products do make it in my garbage. And people who know me know that. And so I just don't want to take up time, and I don't want to give those companies watch time that they don't deserve, even if it's negative, because bad press is still good press, just because people are going to get attention, and I don't want that. So there's enough negativity out there. I just don't want to be a part of that. That's the way I am. And so hopefully my viewers understand that. And that I think that's one reason why I'm appreciated for the ones who do follow me and who do like my stuff, is because they understand what Pan is about and what my process is. I'm still that 16-year-old boy that's starting to detail and just enjoys everything about it. It's a soothing experience. That's the way I see it. I never see it as work, and I enjoy the entire thing, from discovering the product to washing to nitpicking every single part in the car, spending that 15 hours. And I think that's where you differ a bit too. I think you said, like, you like the end result, right? Yeah. Rubbing your hand on the backside of the paint, but I enjoy the entire thing. So
Well, it's the part of my curse is that living in the destination. I love the
yeah.
end. I'm living at the end of everything I do in my life, and that's the problem. And that's why people like you more. You're a lot more likable because you're enjoying the process, and I'm fighting the process
But
just
funny
so that
enough,
I can.
some people still hate my guts. That's part of the YouTube thing. Like literally, people wake up hating me, and it's so. Of course, luckily, I have like a 98 or 99% like ratio on the channel, and I do have a big audience, and those people understand me. That's who I make my videos for. But there's still those people. Thank God, it's a minority, but who like don't like me. And if you like stop to that and you read stuff, and like I read comments on other channels, and that's where you see we're like little families, right? When you go into another family, they'll kind of like, who is this guy? Screw Pan, screw that. And your guys like you, right? But there's always people who don't enjoy you, who don't appreciate you for whatever reason. And that's one thing I have to stop worrying about, because I'm like my mom. My mom wants to please everyone. But at 39, I'm starting to realize you can't do that. I'm going to die trying. There's always going to be a person who doesn't like you just because you're doing you at the end of the day. And so that's one thing you have to compose with. And for me, it's still hard. I'm still trying to learn how to do it. It's going to be a life struggle, most probably, because I just want people to get along and to grow as a community. But
All I have to say is just stay tuned. Wait till you see this test. I've come up with the most sophisticated formula that the world has ever seen, and yeah, I'm telling you, it's gonna be definitive. There's no question.
definitive. All right.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be. You're gonna everybody's gonna be copying this test from here on out. Everybody copies the same test, or they tape off the hood and do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that copy in business. So I created my own thing, and it's going to be good. And I didn't know where to draw the line. So what I did is
Yeah.
the products that were easiest to get on Amazon that are accessible to everybody. So I just picked 6 of them, and then I guess I can do more in the future.
Kind of like what Scott H is doing. Like he tests like 50 different products on a panel over months and comes back. I don't know if you know that channel. They're a smaller channel.
Yeah,
but
I've seen that. Yeah.
So anyhow, we'll be looking forward for that for sure. Continue doing what you're doing, man. Guys, by the way, if you haven't done so yet, go check out his channel. I'll also leave a link to the Obsessed Garage website. I love ordering from there. He has just about anything you can think of, especially if you do like the higher end stuff like I do and like Matt does. It's all there. Kranzler pressure washers, Mosmatic tools, gear, equipment. You got into the Milwaukee stuff recently, and I'll be looking forward actually to, because you're moving into a brand new home. Congrats on that. But you'll be working on that garage. Finally, Obsessed Garage is going to have a home
won't be
garage.
Obsessed Carport anymore. Yeah.
Obsessed Carport. I love that.
Yeah, the tricky part is that the house I bought is on like an acre and a quarter, and he kind of built to put maximum square footage on it. So I don't think I'm going to be able to add anything to it, but I really, really desperately want to be able to add on a wash bay.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an extremely dense 3-car garage. Like I'm going to have a lot of cool stuff in this. It's like 37 by 24 ish.
Pretty big. Yeah.
But I want to bolt on like another 20-foot, like, lean to, or, kind of porte-cochere area or like carport area to do a dedicated wash bay. I couldn't imagine going back to washing the car in the driveway again after having a pole barn for the last however many years.
Yeah.
But I hope I can pull that off. And if I can, the garage is really going to be pretty incredible. It's going to be the sort of the culmination of everything I've learned in the last 40 years of my life of chasing stuff. And I've also very likely landed Cree lighting, the ability to be able to sell Cree. Cree is not really available. Their good stuff is not available residentially.
Okay.
And so I want to bring that to the residential space in the world. So I think I've convinced them to allow me to do that. And so we're going to have some really sophisticated lighting options, including, I've been talking about this for a long time, doing color shifting.
Yeah.
So you like the Cadient system that they have, you can color transition from 2 to 7K. And now that'll be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
But something that like around my detailing the lift area, I'm going to do Cadient so I can, just color transition the lights.
Kind of like what we can do with Scan Grip, but more in a fixed environment. Yeah.
Correct,
I like that.
correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so not all lighting is created equally, and
No.
this has been on the list for a long time. Like I said, vacuums are something also that I think is important. That, and then in my garage, I'm going to build a professional grade car wash studio. So we'll have solenoid switching for foaming. So rather than using a foam cannon, I'm going to develop a consumer able for us consumers to be able to buy a tank. You fill up with 25 gallons of soap, and have the tank have a dedicated osmotic foaming gun where you don't have the foam cannon. So you have a gun that's a foamer that pulls from the soap injected tank. And we'll have a solenoid where you just switch between different types of like decon soap or like GSF or something like that. And so I'm going to work on all these systems to figure out how to bring this professional stuff into the real world, and I'll use my garage as the guinea pig. So I'm pumped about that. I think
Man,
we're gonna create some really cool stuff. Some of that stuff will be cheap, some will be expensive.
of
It's
course.
just cost whatever it costs. And that was my argument with the vacuum company. I said, look, don't send me some price point bull crap. Send me what it needs to be, and then we'll figure out what it costs. If it's cheap, great. If it's expensive, that's just what it had to be to get what we need.
Yeah.
And so I shared with them a few of the companies that I knew of, like Eurovac and TigerVac. How do we get like professional grade dust extraction into use to clean your car? And then how do we dumb it down to the entry level from there? So how do we work our way up sort of good, better, best? And so that's, I'm going to be working on that here this year. I'm excited about figuring that out.
If
So
you had to take a guess, I don't know if I think it's impossible, but if you just had to guess from the people who buy from your website and who go through the whole high end experience and who want all the cool gear, what do you think their like annual income level would be at if you had to, like, because you understand your customers
the
better?
vast majority of the people that are buying, I say I don't give a crap about detailers or detailers, young, smart people. I mean, I'd say, the average demographic is probably 35. I don't know I have no idea what the average income is. I don't look at any of that stuff. I don't
Okay,
look at metrics. I don't look at numbers. I don't look at views. I don't look at subscribers. I don't look at any of it.
really?
I know what it is because it shows up on the screen.
Yeah.
I pull up my Shopify app to see, how much did we sell, just to make sure I'm not going out of business. But what I don't do is I don't analyze numbers
Okay.
because I would not be able to get out of bed in the morning. I'd be freaking out all the time.
Yeah.
Same thing with, with my, portfolio or my house value and that's why I don't do goals and set things like that, because I just can't handle it. And so, yeah, I don't know who's buying from me. I just know
Okay.
that it's people that like the same thing I like. And then hopefully they keep buying it so I can stay in business. That's the goal.
Awesome. Good stuff. I'll be waiting to see those videos about what's going to happen with the new 3-car garage and the new Matt Moreman mansion. That'll be cool.
I'm not going to share the house, I don't think.
No, yeah, I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pull that off of the table, and that you'll see the house and I'll share like some of the projects I'm working on. But I'm just not going to do like MTV Cribs tours
Yeah, yeah.
of the house anymore and share. And I'm probably going to go to the county and probably redeed the home and pay the money to put it in the name of a trust that's not attached to me. And I probably have to detach a little bit from the world, as much as I dislike that. But what I've learned is that, let's say that Obsessed Garage becomes a $300 million business. People they want you to be successful. They don't want you to be that successful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work my face off to make it happen in spurts. But I'm going to work my face off to make what happen, whatever happens. But again, I don't have a goal. If I set a goal for Obsessed Garage, I would have exceeded that and I'd have been screwed. It would have been it. So
You're doing quite well for yourself, bud. So again, I appreciate all the time that you gave us, and we'll talk again soon. So, Matt, thanks for being on the channel again. Thanks for being there, and you guys, you know the drill as usual. Thanks for being there. Thanks for watching, and in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you all on the next one.